Hey everybody, it's Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. Sunday night, just a little before 10 here. Why so late? Well, Sunday night's about the only time I get free time, and I kind of need to get some of this stuff to work ASAP. So, what we're going to do, we got ourselves a Zoro tool haul. Not quite sure where this one falls on the list. We'll get that updated when we come in and edit it. But, got a couple of repeat offenders and some new items I'm pretty excited about. I guess we'll just get going with the most expensive item. How about that? If you're new here, I do timestamps and links. I do that for your convenience. I don't make anything off of that. You can go spend to your heart's content. You can buy nothing, you can look elsewhere, whatever. It makes no difference to me. But again, timestamps are down below for your convenience. So right here, kicking it off, this is from Proto. This is kind of sort of bittersweet. And we'll kind of get into that here in a little bit. But this was just too stupid cheap for me to say no to. It was one of those things, I'd been watching it. There were several kind of contenders, and it just kind of fell into my lap. So $83.99 was the price on this. This actually wasn't the most expensive thing on the order, but for what we're going to showcase, it was. And when you see what's in this box, you will think, how did that cost $83.99? Well, stupid low price and then 20% off is how. So again, their part number 4JX09. Again, I'll try to have that linked. The links on Zoro are kind of funky sometimes. You could link to this. You could go there, and down on the bottom you can see the exact same thing that's like double the price, and the exact same thing that's maybe $10 cheaper. Pay attention to shipping. It's one of those things I'm still trying to feel it out myself, but somewhere around here right there, 4JX09, that's from Proto. And if you think that that abbreviated mess looks like Impact Socket Set Steel Black Oxide 3/8 to 1 1/4 inch, you're 100% correct, because that's what it is. I think the Proto official number would be J74104. These are going to be made in America, and you're thinking like, whoa, what? 3/8 inch and a quarter. Okay, inch and a quarter is probably not going to be 3/8 drive. Is this a 1/2 inch drive set of impact sockets? It totally is. We have done this before, but with Proto's deep iteration. It's also a way more expansive set. I've got it over there in the roll cart. It's coupled with a shallow set from Right. At work, what do we run? Well, we run a little bit of everything, but by far the most common is going to be Proto. And while that's great because I know exactly what I need, for example, this would be perfect for 3/4 bolts. They're stupid durable, they last a long time, they've got good weight to them, they're not like an absurdly thick sidewall where they're rendered useless. At work, I don't really have to worry about that too often, especially on the bigger sizes, you know, like 5/8, 3/4, I've usually got clearance. There's a couple of times where you have clearance for the socket but not for a tool. It's weird things like that, but in an automotive setting, these would be phenomenal. However, across the board, you're going to have to sit there and think like, okay, hey, you know, this 9/16 or this 1/2 inch socket is great, holds up, you know, dirt cheap, made in America, but the sidewall is so fat, like I can't fit it where I need it to go. That's your catch-22 in an automotive scenario. So with a more industrial stuff like I'm doing, I don't have to worry about that, right? I never have like, oh, well, you know, this would be a great socket for that cylinder head, but it won't fit. It's rare that I have that issue. When I do, it's usually 3/8 and 1/2 inch bolts. So again, I'm sorry, 5/16 and 3/8, so that would be 1/2 and 9/16, which is essentially 3/8 stuff. But stubby impacts go a long way, sort of in a heavier industrial setting, as does swivels. They almost become a necessity. The thin sidewall is critical to me the most on 9/16 sockets for 3/8 hardware, and it's just a thing where I've got walls and the castings can't move. That's not machined. It's in like not a point that you can operate from. So you could have a standard like fat, real nice impact socket that's legendary, but you can't get it on your fastener there because it's simply pushed out too far. So that's when you have to spend more money and get the thin-walled impact sockets, or have a nice swivel, you know, or some combination thereof. But If you are looking for an American-made impact socket that is just stupid good, takes a beating, and does not break the bank, perhaps that last statement being the most important, I don't know how you do wrong with Proto. You can buy Mac, you can get like different stampings on here, you can spend a lot more. Hey, you do you. You can get Snap-on, you can have them rust. Again, you do whatever works for you. You can get Right if you can get them. They kind of go through spurts where stuff's in stock or not in stock. It sort of depends. Like I'd been waiting for forever I'll just go ahead and tell you, to get, my complete Right set for work. And depending on what drive size you need at the time, maybe it's in stock and you have no issues. Maybe it's a couple of months and maybe you're going to place an order and people are going to cancel your order. It's one of those things. I have a socket set that I ordered, I think in June. This is almost Thanksgiving, and I still don't have it, and I was initially told 2 weeks, and then they changed it to probably, 6 weeks, which was another month. Yeah, so that can be a problem. My favorite impact socket, though, realistically, it is Right. I love them. They're fantastic. The only real negative to me taking these to work is, like, everywhere's Proto. Teardown, assembly, random areas, it's Proto. There's a mix of things, there's Right, there's really old stuff, from other brands, but Proto is kind of the go-to, it's sort of the default, and that doesn't differentiate these. So if I'm ever doing something, get pulled away, freight truck comes, customer comes, somebody like grabs my stuff or starts working, they could pull the socket off, and then I'm like, oh no. So yeah, that's, again, not something you have to contend with everywhere, but it is something I have to think about heavily. I've actually considered keeping these at the house and then taking my 1/2-inch shallow Rights to work. I don't know, it's just going to remain to be seen. I've also got some other impacts that I know I'm going to get. It depends when the distributor kind of lets me know they're in. And then I'm sort of torn on if I use those here or take them to work, and I kind of think I might divide those up. But bottom line, this is literally, if you can tell from this bag, it's 3/8 inch and a quarter, no skips. It's absurd. The spring steel rails, which I told you Proto used good ones, I might be thinking back in the day, because I have a lot of Proto sockets in the work cart, and I haven't had time to get it set up on anything other than the spring steel rails. I hate them. I absolutely hate these things. They suck. They are not what they used to be. I still think they're better. They're not the terrible ones, but man, do these suck. I don't know if I've been spoiled by Ernst and MTS and modern things, but these are terrible. The Koken spring steel is way better than this. I don't know what went on. I have a ton of Proto sets. Again, I really liked it when they came in a little caddy. You still see that with the Mac. I think some Protos might, but it's just a little metal box with a handle that's so, it's really not a handle as much as it is it folds up and keeps the sockets from falling out. You know what I'm talking about, or you don't. If you don't pull it up a picture, it'll make sense to you. But that's how the majority of the sets would come, always. And then they started doing this, and for the longest time, this was the good spring steel socket rails. I despise these. Again, at work, I have set sizes I'm using frequently. I currently, just like I did when I was a kid in high school, I've got them laying flat in a drawer. Nothing fancy. They're on the rails, and for example, I'm not going to use, say, 11/16 very often, right? But the 1/2 and the 9/16 are there, and everything else is on the rail attached, and then the sockets I use are not. I don't put them back on. Okay, I do not put those back on, those stupid clips. I just kind of have them there so they don't roll around when I move the cart, and then I just come in and grab them, and that's what I'm doing right now. So that said, I did consider getting Mac ones, which I knew would be the same thing, but it would have a different name, so it would distinguish them. That's really my only negative about these, is there's so many of them already there. Now, granted, for a little while, these are going to look better. If you're curious, when you have a good impact socket that's going to last a long time, it's not going to be black. Okay, you get to a point where I could throw down some sockets. If you can't see a fat sidewall versus a thin sidewall, I just have that side profile with the stamping, 1 1/8. your impacts, as they rub and wear down over time, like they almost look like the chrome has just kind of come off. You know, if you have good chrome sockets, you can kind of get to that point. It's more likely to have the impacts kind of finish out and sort of look not really shiny, but just like almost like a satin, dirty, grimy chrome. So again, tons and tons and years of experience with Proto Impact sockets. I love them. Again, the bang for the buck here is really, really hard to compete with. I'm just going to say that, but I'm not going to drag these out. You've kind of seen them. This is almost the biggest. Again, this goes up to 1.25 inches, and it truly does go all the way down with no skips. It's $84. You cannot walk into Home Depot and get things that are, you know, of this quality and at this price point. You would pay more money for a lesser quality socket. It's crazy. Again, old industrial brand. Some people love that, some people hate it. It is chamfered, which I much prefer. And again, it's just kind of hard to go wrong with these at this price point. Now, if this set was $290, you know, you might think, oh, well, you know, maybe we could stretch our money elsewhere. At $84, I mean, like, seriously, you're in icon territory. You're in big sets from Lowe's or Home Depot. This is a win across the board. If you're curious about Proto, whether it's SAE or metric, give them a shot. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Again, that comes from years and years of professional use, and they just last. So that is the Proto Impact socket set. Again, we could go into way more detail on them, but it's just one of those things. I know them, I trust them. The price, the quantity, made in America, it's a win right there. So coming in next, this is a big one. These things right here, I love them. I think it was like Zoro Tool Haul 7. I know because I had to mine back to find that Koken video with the Universals to release Saturday. And these are absurd. I love them. I got another pair that I actually wear as well. I actually like the way they look. I like the colors, but they actually don't fog up. I've done so many things where these would have fogged up, and they don't. They do fog, but then it's like magic. You see it roll back off in front of you. And everything else that I have ever worn, ever purchased, that's anti-fog is not anti-fog. If it's anti-fog for somebody, it ain't anti-fog for me, and it ticks me off, you know. When you spend like the extra $2 to $5 to get like their top of the line anti-fog, and I sit there with a mask on and things fog up. I don't care about the weather. I don't care about the atmospheric conditions. I don't care about if it's hot. I don't care if I'm sweaty. I don't care anything. If I pay that kind of money and pay extra for the anti-fog, I expect them to be anti-fog. And this is the first pair I've ever found. These came from viewer suggestions. I think it was me complaining, like when we got those Lincoln ones, which again, I'd like, okay, Lincoln, they're going to do this right. No, they didn't. And I think I had 2 of you tell me, like, oh, you need to try this. Those are legit. I've had them now for a couple of months. One of the things that sounds dumb, but you know, like when I fertilize, I go out and it's one of those deals a lot, especially this year, you know, even in the summer, I'm not getting home with much daylight. Even though the sun doesn't set till 9 something, I'm out doing things in the dark. So I've got the mask on, you know, because it's usually windy here, you know, and you don't know what's in that stuff, going to be blowing all over you. So I put the mask on. Anything I wear would fog up. You know, you get hot, it's 100 degrees outside, you're running through there. It's just a bad setup. These truly don't fog up. What are they, you ask? Well, they are this, and they are this. Okay, we're going to get started with these right here. These are going to be the VS250, and these are from a company called Hex Armor. Okay, and these are actually going to be sort of like under UVEC, which we used to use UVECs all the time at work. They were the Patriots. Some of you remember them probably like they're a 90s safety glass, right? They had the sides, they were kind of squared, but they had red, white, and blue, you know, on the sides. They were good, you know, I never got metal chips in my eyes or anything. But over time, you know, distributors and vendors, they kind of changed stock, I don't know, pricing or whatever. And we had these for a long time. Nemesis. I do like the styling of them. They're kind of like a sunglass type of a deal. They fog really, really bad. And with these, it's a situation they don't. Okay, the VS250, if you kind of look right there, they're a dark gray high vis. It's got the True Shield 2F. I've got friends sending me pictures of Thanksgiving pies. My apologies. It's clear inside anti-fog, outside anti-fog. Okay, what do you think that costs for this pair of safety glasses that you see right above me and below? How about $12.63? That's right. Now that would be with a discount, but like, this is a legit pair of safety glasses, folks. This is replicated. These are staying here. That is going to work. I'm thrilled about it. Coming up next, we have the MX250. This is sort of like a bougie purchase. And, it's going to serve the multifunction of I've got two pairs, one that I'll probably have in the office, one out in the shop, and that way, depending on where I'm at and what I need to do, I'll always be hopefully close to one. So I nearly had some liquid wrench. It did actually go on my eyelid, but not in my eye, but it went all over a hoodie. And if you've ever had liquid wrench get all over an article of clothing like that, the smell doesn't seem to want to come out. It's actually one of the things Saturday when I was at work, I went and threw that thing in a laundromat, and it came out and it still smells like liquid wrench. So it's currently hanging up. I had to bring it home. I've got it hanging over here on a punching bag stand. But yeah, it was a freak deal. I was just trying to get the scroll out, and I dropped it down in that basin. I stepped to the side, I turned and squinted, and somehow, even though it was in a basin that's like pretty deep, that stuff splashed. And it was a very, very small puddle, and it splashed all over the right side, which ironically, when you machine, you usually get stuff slung on your left side. But no, this was the right side. And then, like I said, I was turned and stepped back, and it went on my closed eyelid. So I had to go wash that out, and then I was quickly reprimanded for what was that smell, and it was liquid wrench. So yeah, these will be quite welcome. But the big thing here, you'll see inside and anti-fog, outside anti-scratch, but the lens on these is variomatic. Now that's going to sound really weird, and I keep these, they're actually so fancy. I put them back in the wrapper, but dadgum, I'm telling you, I fertilized in these on the sunny day, and they are pretty dead. You can kind of tell they sort of have like a greenish hue to the lens. They're good. These are really, really good. Slightly different design than these. I guess you could pick it based on that. These are basically double the price. They're both fantastic. Again, $12.63 for the VS250, and then this pair is going to set you back $23.08 with a discount. So like I said, these do cost a bit more, but they are worth every single penny. Again, VS250 and MX250. So if you're looking for good safety glasses, again, I make nothing off of that. I'm not endorsed. They don't send me anything. They probably don't even know I exist. If they want to send me things, that'd be great, because I would appreciate it and I would use them and I could update you on them. But after years and years, thanks to a couple of you in the comments section, I think I finally found safety glasses that don't suck. So they look good, in my opinion. Again, some people are going to hate this. It's going to be like too sporty or something, but if you can get past that and just try the lenses for the anti-fog, I think you'll be happy. So I am absolutely thrilled about those. I think what we're going to do now, this box is really bothering me. It's harshing the vibe of the aesthetic that we try to have. So I'm going to get it off, and I'm going to get some other stuff set up here, and we will wrap up this tool. All right, a nice tie-in here, at least I think so, is going to be similar things. And how are these similar? Not very, but you got similar items, right? Do the same thing, and you're going to have similar items that do the same thing. So, throwing down, this is my first ever junk from Westward. Kind of concerned about it, but it does say it's made in Taiwan. And if you look at this and you're like, whoa, what is going on? Those are some weird looking punches, dude. What's with all the steps? Well, if you look right there, they are swaging tools. These are single swaging punches. And believe it or not, this 4-piece set from Westward, it was, with the discount, $8.95. Kind of crazy, right? I thought so. But They are something that I'm very optimistic is going to serve me well at work. And ironically, I only need 2 sizes at work, but I wasn't quite sure what we'd wind up liking. So figured I'd give this a shot. And if you're unfamiliar with what these are going to be, this is kind of a tool where there is a business end and a business end. Okay? There's one side that's going to take some abuse and another side that's going to dish that abuse back out. So it's kind of a mutual relationship there, right? This side gets hit, this side takes action. And this is going to be 5/8. Why they chose to stamp that, what I'd consider upside down, is beyond me. Because if you're going to stand these, you're going to stand them like that. I don't think you'd want to stand the heavy side up. Are they all that way? Well, they're at least consistent. I don't quite understand it, but hey, whatever makes them happy, I suppose. So you got 5/8, you've got 3/8, and then you've got these two. And these two are really the reason that I purchased this set. This is going to be quarter. I'll get that kind of flipped around where you can hopefully see it better. Can you ever? There we go. There's that 1/4 I want you to see. And again, this is basically like a hex. Almost again looks like the punches we just took a look at from Ghidorah. But you've got a taper here and you've got an end point. And what this is designed to do with swaging, if we had, which I can't believe I don't have anything handy here to better showcase this, but if we had this, aluminum tube, and this end was crushed, I can come in and I can take the correct size and I can round it back out. We come in, we tap down, it bushes the tubing or pipe out just a little bit. So quarter I'm going to utilize, and this will see a ton of use, the 1/2" one. So again, if we get that flipped just right, you can see where they have it stamped. Boom. And again, why it's not stamped down here, I don't know, but it is what it is. So same concept across the board. You're going to insert this. You can, basically, depending on what your material is, you can kind of work this around. This will be primarily copper. And so if I've got like a flattened section or something that's crushed, or the end of the tube type of a thing, I can get this in there. If it's deformed any, I can set it up. If it's really bad, we can kind of wedge it in and again just strike down. So it's going to be a really nice addition. So I think this is what I'll take to work. I kind of like the idea of having the standalone tool personally. And if you're thinking like, well, standalone tool, what are you talking about, dude? That's what that is. You got 4 of them in different sizes. Well, here's the thing. I wasn't quite sure what I would like best, and at the price point with our discount, would you believe that I got another tool for $8.95, and it is from ProSource. It's going to be their part number 5485115. I'm trying to think. I either have from ProSource hammers, like way back in the day hammers, or I'm trying to think if sometimes I have a supplier that cycles between ProSource and Mintcraft. I kind of think I have some of their wire brushes. It's where I see the ProSource name. But anyway, I know I'm familiar with it from somewhere, and I feel like it's a hammer. And like a real cheap hammer, like maybe even a Walmart hammer. It's really old. Could be thinking of a different name brand, but it was something Pro and looked similar. But on the wire brushes, I'm pretty sure they're ProSource. So I'm sure it's just one of those things. They pick some stuff out, have them labeled and shipped out. This is essentially that, but in one tool. All right, it looks a little cooler. It's got more staple, more character to it. It looks like a spike. You could probably scare some people off with the thing. But this will do 3/16, quarter, 5/16, 3/8, half, and 5/8 OD tubing, which again, a little bit more. Here is a picture of what I've described. Again, you take your tubing that's impacted and you hammer it home. Now, the big thing is where I'm doing this just to kind of like not have something deformed, you can technically bush it out a little bit more, right? So you can kind of bump it out, sort of think of it as almost like a bubble flare type of a compression style thing going on. It's like an old school thing, but I wasn't sure what I'd like better, and so I thought, well, you know, they're cheap and affordable, let's try both. So I think I'll take the 4-piece set to work, and then I'll keep this one here, just because, again, I'm more likely to use at least these two all the time, and then this one, whatever I'm doing here at the house, which is more likely to have 3/16, I've got this, and it's either going to be good or we'll know to go get something dedicated. So the installation instructions, let's actually try to, can we read this? I had to get those button things out of the way. So they say, install the tapered end of the swaging stool into one end of tubing until snug. Hit the base end of the swaging tool with hammer until tubing shapes around expanded section of tool. To do solder joint, please follow the instructions provided by the manufacturer of solder flux. So again, you know, think of this. I'm staring at my copper airlines, and of course I used, you know, proper fittings, like a 90-degree elbow over there, you know, it turns down and reduces from 3/4 to half for a drop. But I'm looking at a T that runs up to one of my filters. But right here, if we needed to, like in a pinch type of a thing, if I didn't have a T and I needed to make like a union of some sort, you can swage it in. Think of this sort of as like, you may be more familiar with like an exhaust kit, right? You got 3-inch OD catback that you bought, and you're real excited to upgrade from the factory 2.5 stuff and go full 3-inch. And when you get it, you can't have it all the way connected, just one piece of pipe mandrel bent, because you wouldn't be able to install it. There's going to be joints and seams. At those seams, you've got a couple of things. You could have V-bands. You could have like old school, you know, like header connector types of things, you know, sort of triangular 3-point deals. Or you might have slip fit. On the slip fit connections you're accustomed to, you know, like think of your tailpipe as you got 3-inch intermediate pipe coming here, and then you've got your tailpipe, and they can't go together if they're both 3-inch OD, right? So what's the difference? The tailpipe typically is going to be bushed out a little bit, and it's going to slide and provide a slip fit over your intermediate pipe. And what is that technically called, if you don't want to call it bushed out? Swaged, right? Sort of, again, it's kind of one of those lost terms. You don't hear it often. That's essentially what that is. So the slip fit, as you and I would probably call it, or at least is what's common with everyone I deal with, it's kind of like this tailpipe was swaged, so it would fit over and provide a slip fit for you to clamp down or weld your tailpipe to your intermediary pipe. So the difference here, this is almost like a step drill bit. It's probably the closest thing you could think of it. It's obviously chrome plated, a little more lustrous finish than those standalone pieces. But like if I'm doing 1/2 inch, you know, I've got to get that down there and then boom, come in, hammer. Will it provide, if like with tubing in particular, let's say like you're doing, I don't know, fittings for your carburetor type of deal, and you're going from a soft line that ruptures all the time to a hard line, you might not be able, you know, let's say that you've got like a big block, right, and you're going to need some serious fuel. What do you do if your 90-degree turn, you know, has this radius and you need to swage it and it's right here, you know? So that's not a great scenario of an example, but it gives you kind of the mindset of like, oh yeah, he's right. In certain situations, you would not be able to get the tool to this point to swage it if you had a bit. Now, if you can come in all that way, sure, but like physically, there will be a limit where maybe it's just, I've got my 90 set up like this, and I want to swage this end. I stop right here, right? It's sliding through fine, but the stopping point is here where the pipe, the tube goes like that, and this is too long of a tool. So that's where you have to be careful with this. You think, hey, those are stupid long too, man. Well, think about it though. This is all drive end, okay? So all the way here, this is your business end. So this is probably going to be a little bit more versatile. The downside is you got to keep tabs on 4 tools, whereas this is 1, and it looks cooler, but it does have limitations. So do with that information what you will. I just had another deal come in I've got to take care of here. So I've got one more thing I want to do. I might just make that a standalone. I don't know. But we've got our safety glasses, which are awesome. I love those things. I genuinely do. That's why we replicated exactly what I bought. They were that good. We've got swaging tools. Again, this is more from one tool, but it's the same price as this. It kind of just depends. Like if you're only going to use 1/2-inch tube, just get a standalone 1/2-inch. In the case of what I was doing, I didn't just go standalone because it was cheaper to buy the multi-tool and the 4 pieces versus one. I think I could have gotten the standalone half for like $12. Same thing for the quarter, it was somewhere around 10. But the set of 4 was somehow $8.95. Make it make sense, I can't, but that's why that's here and those aren't. So I figure worst case scenario, we can machine those down, do something else with them, or just keep them in the event that we ever need, you know, those sizes. But these are just some examples here. Again, you might ease into this, and then if you find out you're using it all the time, get like something better. If you swage a lot, let me know what you use, what you prefer, and why. Again, there's many different ways to do it. This one's kind of crude and elementary, but assuming the tool is good and has a proper fitment, it should be very functional for the price point. So with that said, yeah, I guess that's it for this one. So LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all 3 at Lone Star Mopars. If you enjoyed the video, I encourage you to subscribe. If you subscribe, you jump your charger across the creek while wearing your anti-fog safety glasses while simultaneously using your long multi-tool swaging thing to mate up a, I don't know, copper pipe that you can install at your girlfriend's place after the jump and you lose Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. YouTube just might notify you that we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks again for watching, and I do hope I catch you back here next week for more action from the shop.